Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and today we'll be jumping into Entitled Parents. Before we start, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you know when the next video goes live. Our first story today comes to us from A Quiet Borderline. Entitled mom tries to get me to open access gate for her, gets yelled at by daughter. Let's jump right in. My brother and I just moved to a gated community so I can be closer to my job, and because it was far safer. In order to get in, you have to do one of two things. 1. Have a window access sticker that scans and opens the gate. 2. Or put in a special code in the code box that calls the resident and then they can press the button. An important thing to note is that there's two entrances to this community. 1, the main entrance, is just a pair of gates that slowly swing open and close when the code is put in and your window sticker is scanned. The other, the private entrance, not only has the gate, but also a barrier arm, like what you see at areas with restricted access, that lowers right behind a car so nobody can tailgate you. Since we're still waiting for our access stickers to arrive, my brother and I have to use our own codes to call our cell phones so we can punch in the number to let us in. A pain in the butt, but it's a huge improvement over the community we left behind. Normally, I take the private entrance because it's right by my house, but on this particular day, I had to use the main entrance so I could pick up a package that had been dropped off at the office, which isn't far away from the main entrance. Well, I get to the call box, and just as I'm about to punch in my number, a beat-up blue Subaru whipped around the corner and went right up to the gate. Said Subaru belongs to my neighbor's mother. Let's call entitled mother Linda. And she has a bad habit of hanging by the sticker access port and waiting for someone to buzz her in. Because of how slow the main gate opens and closes, it's not unusual for more than one car to just buzz right behind someone with an access sticker. I'll admit, I've done it a few times myself, but it's an unwritten rule that you don't block the access port and just wait for someone to use the call box. Anyway, Linda has never liked my brother and me for whatever reason, and I know she's waiting for me to call and let her in, so I decided to have some fun at her expense. I noticed I was a little too far away to safely reach the call box, so I backed up, nobody was behind me, and pulled closer to the box so I could reach it without having to open my car door. Then, instead of punching in my own code, I looked up my name alphabetically, taking my sweet time pressing the scrolling button. My last name begins with an A, so for extra funsies, I pressed the Z button and took my time rolling up. Meanwhile, I'm watching for other cars who might be turning in so I could punch in the code and let them in. Yeah, it would mean letting Linda in, but I'm not going to ruin a whole bunch of other people's days because I wanted a little petty revenge. Thankfully, no cars came in, which is good because Linda begins honking her horn and gesturing angrily at me through her window. I was just about at my name when she leaned out her window and screamed, "Gringa estúpida, open the gate now." Now, I may not know a lot of Spanish, but hearing her call me that made me stop all thoughts of petty revenge. "I'm sorry, I'm at the wrong place," I shouted. I put the car in drive, did a hairpin turn that would have made a NASCAR driver drool, and peeled out of there to the private entrance. I thought that'd be the end of my encounter with Linda. Oh boy, was I wrong. I get in through the private entrance, pick up my package, and 10 minutes later am pulled into my driveway when Victoria, my neighbor and entitled mother's daughter, comes out to get her mail. We greet each other and chat for a few minutes about our days. I didn't tell her about her mother, not wanting to sour Victoria's mood, as she's aware of her mother's behavior and is just as irritated as everyone else who's had to put up with Linda. Well, wouldn't you know it, here comes Linda's Subaru. Linda pulls in and gets out. She sees me and points to me. "Thanks to you, I'm late for dinner with my daughter and grandchildren." Victoria looks at me confused. I shrugged my shoulders, not in the mood to fight, and said, "I was going to let you in until you called me a gringa estúpida." Victoria flipped out. She ran up to her mother, who is a lot smaller than her, and starts screaming at her in Spanish. I can tell that whatever Victoria said was bad because right away, Linda was looking like a beaten down dog, embarrassed out of her wits. Eventually, Victoria yelled at her mother, pointing at the exit, and I heard, "Sal de aquí, get out of here." Linda got in her car and drove off. Victoria apologized to me profusely. I told her it wasn't her fault and thanked her for standing up for me. Needless to say, Linda hasn't been over lately, and I don't think she will be until she learns her manners. So Victoria's mother could have just buzzed her and driven right in, but she decided to piggyback on someone else to save a couple of seconds? Huh. Nice to hear she got put into place by her daughter, though. It's great to see so many people building up the KCC community, but the majority of you watching this video right now aren't actually subscribed. If you're enjoying this daily Reddit content, please hit that subscribe button. It's free, and you can always reverse it later. Our second story today also comes to us from A Quiet Borderline. Entitled mother decides to take advantage of nice daughter's absence to break into her daughter's house and enjoy a bubble bath. The saga of Linda continues. Let's jump right in. It's never a dull moment around here. A month or so ago, I posted the adventure of Linda trying to get me to open the access gate. Fortunately, Linda's daughter, Victoria, has been firm to her mother about her manners. Linda reached out to me with a profuse apology and flowers. While the flowers made my brother sneeze, Linda did seem repentant, and she was allowed over for the first time maybe a week or so ago. She behaved herself, so Victoria and I expressed our hopes that maybe she did learn her lesson. That was until last night. Victoria's brother-in-law, let's call him Kevin, was killed in a car accident a few days ago. Since Kevin lived in Texas, Victoria and the rest of her immediate family booked a flight to help arrange and attend the funeral. Since Victoria and I are next-door neighbors and friends, she gave me an extra copy of her keys and asked me to keep an eye on their cat, sort their mail, and just make sure things were okay at the house. I agreed because this was an emergency, and I'd trust her to take care of our house if something similar happened. Yesterday morning, Linda knocked on my door and politely asked me to let her into Victoria's house because she had forgotten her prescription. Since I wasn't sure if Linda was allowed, I texted Victoria to make sure it was okay for her mom to go in. Victoria said it was fine, and I let Linda in. While we were in, I checked on their cat. I'll admit this was a huge mistake on my part, and was only gone for a moment before Linda said she found what she was looking for, even showing me the medication bottle she misplaced. Satisfied, I locked up and Linda left. Several hours later, my brother, Mark, and I decided to go out for dinner because neither of us felt like cooking. When we returned, we saw that some of the lights in Victoria's house were on. I knew I hadn't turned them on, and those lights weren't on a timer to deter burglars. I called the police, explained what was going on, and asked them to come over and check because we aren't stupid enough to go inside and confront a potential burglar. Fortunately, there were a couple of officers, let's call them Warren and Leo, close by, so they came over within a few minutes. While we were explaining what was going on, who would come out of the door but Linda? She was wearing a bathrobe and had her hair wrapped up in a towel, which added to everyone's confusion. "Good evening, ma'am. Sorry to disturb you, but do you live here?" Confused and looking like a scared rabbit. "No habla inglés?" "I don't speak English." "Perdón, señora, habla usted español?" "Excuse me, ma'am, do you speak Spanish?" Linda's eyes lit up, probably thinking she had a way out. Speaking rapid-fire Spanish, she got close to Leo and was patting his arm like she was his mother, occasionally pointing at Mark and me. Warren, Mark, and I watched this with uncomfortable confusion. I don't know how Leo was able to keep his cool during all of this, because this was really awkward for everyone. Leo came back to us with Linda still clinging to him. "OP, she says she got permission from her daughter to come in to take a bubble bath in their new jacuzzi tub and that you let her in. Is that true?" My jaw dropped. I did let her in earlier today because she said she forgot something at the house. We went in and left right after she found it. I have no idea what she's talking about, but I do have her daughter's number if you want to talk to her. At this point, the color drained from Linda's face and she let go of Leo, trying to edge back to Victoria's house. Leo stopped her and asked, "Hey, algo mal, señora. Is there something wrong, ma'am?" Linda then dropped her act. "All right, I wanted to try out my daughter's new jacuzzi while she was gone as a reward for staying away when my daughter told me to. Victoria said she was glad things were getting better and I thought I'd treat myself. I got OP to let me in earlier, and while she was checking on my daughter's cats, I unlocked the back window and took an Uber here this evening to enjoy my bath because I knew those two would call my daughter or you guys with a convoluted story. I was just gonna take my bath, clean the tub, and leave. My daughter wouldn't have even known." To end this story, Linda spent a nice night in jail. Nobody was there and didn't want to bail her out. Victoria is done with her mom's behavior. I suspect she's going to ban Linda from the house for good this time. and I learned that some entitled people are just too dumb to realize that just because you're getting along with someone doesn't mean you get to make the rules. Okay, first of all, I'm Canadian. I have absolutely no experience with Spanish. I probably butchered that. It happens. Now, who in their right mind breaks into a family member's house for a bubble bath, especially one that you've just patched things up with and has given you a second chance? On the plus side though, I guess you could say Linda did come out clean in the end. Our next story today comes to us from Latina Cinderella. My entitled parent boss loves giving food we pay for to his family. Let's jump right in. This one actually happened in December. For Christmas, at the company I was doing my internship, we decided to do a small dinner at our office, and we hired a restaurant to bring us the food. Basically, we each had to pay for our own meal, plus an extra fee for the delivery service. It was a fine restaurant, so the cost was more or less $55 per person depending on what they ordered. Because HR equals party planning committee, I was in charge of taking the orders of all the employees, 38 people, the money, and doing the order. When it was my boss's turn, the man told me some very important members of an allied company were close by and he had invited them. As the guests, it was obvious we couldn't charge them, so he proposed the idea of collecting a little extra fee to pay for their meals and then told me what they had ordered. Well, whatever, it's just $4, so not a big deal, right? I did another round picking our new extra fee and explaining the reason. While everyone was kind of pissed, most of them just gave the money without saying much, except for one secretary who rolled her eyes while giving me the money and said something along the lines of, "Sure, important businessman," in the most sarcastic voice you can imagine. Dinner comes. Everyone is already in their seat in the impromptu banquet hall we created, except for our 3 mystery guests. Midway through the event, our boss's wife casually appears, which is not weird per se, as she comes a lot to the office when she is nearby, but it's 8 p.m. and there is no logical reason as to why she would be in the neighborhood at that hour. My boss calls my coworker, who was the one in charge of distributing the food, and I can see how he takes out the 3 extra meals, gives them to our boss, who then gives them to his wife. They literally did this in front of everyone, no hiding at all. The wife then happily said goodbye to everyone, food in hand, and left the building. I am kind of flabbergasted, but was able to ask my coworker what happened with our guests, and why was boss's wife taking the food with her. He explained that our boss told him the men had canceled, and that his wife had to work late, meaning she hadn't prepared food for herself or their 2 teenage kids. Not wanting the food to go to the trash, he decided to give her the plates we paid, without even asking us. My coworker just shrugged and said, "He's the boss." The secretary I mentioned before was close and saw my face, boiling with anger, and laughed. She told me the man pulled something like this every time there was a party, dinner, reunion, etc. It was not the first time my coworkers had paid for his family dinner, and it probably won't be the last according to her. They had just accepted it, and because he always made a credible excuse, it was hard to evade the thing or expose it. And there was that. No shouting, no crying, no legendary confrontation, just me sulking in the corner about my boss being a cheapskate. Okay, so from the beginning, I'm not seeing how the employees of the business would have to pay for a guest that he decides to bring in. I mean, he should be paying for them or the business should be paying for it, don't you think? Thank you to both OPs for posting their stories in the Entitled Parents subreddit. They are linked in the description down below. Please go check them out. Check out one of these other videos, and if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories.